Hey, before we dive into this week's episode, do you mind taking 5 seconds of your time to rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform? It will really help other people find this podcast, and I would also love your feedback. Thank you for taking the time, and now let's dive into the episode. Hello and welcome to the Marketing Women Podcast. I'm your host, Samisha Khannan, and it's great to have you here. Are you looking to move into marketing or want to learn marketing from scratch? We discuss all things marketing, analytics, business, personal branding, and much more in a way any layman can understand. If you're new here, make sure to follow along and get on that email list by visiting anushakhannan.com/email list. Follow at AnushaRK on TikTok, tag us on your stories, would love to see that. And now let's dive in. Before we get into this week's episode, I want to talk about what I've been up to these past couple of weeks. And I think you know what I've been up to these past couple of weeks. Just taking in knowledge from Kiara, Professor Ring. Just been learning so much these past couple of weeks. And I'm so excited to sort of take that all in. I've been taking notes, but I have to go back to them and look at it and be like, hey, these are the top 5 to 6 key takeaways from the conversations that I've had. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I really just have been learning a lot from them and just been focusing on another part, which is understanding business, right? I have been so engrossed in learning marketing and learning analytics that I forgot about, hey, there's a business, these things that we do with marketing analytics that actually impacts the business on a larger scale. And we just don't look at it. And I think it's time to start understanding how that affects and impacts business. That's what I've been sort of focusing on learning. Haven't really done much in that part, but I think that's what I'm going to focus on for the next couple of weeks. On another front, if you didn't know, I have another podcast called the Pivot to Balance podcast. And I am so into personal growth that I picked up another book, which, mind you, it's been a bit since I read a book. So I picked up a book called The 4 Agreements, which is really an amazing book that I think people should read, because it talks about a lot of things that you probably might know, but we just don't implement them in our day-to-day lives. And I think it's a very good read. It has probably 125, 130 pages. Quick read, can complete in one sitting. And I loved it. Really good that I would suggest people to read. So in today's episode, we are going to talk about key performance indicators, otherwise known as KPIs. It's interesting to me because when I first thought about getting into marketing, I had a couple of friends that were working in marketing. I had a couple of people that I knew that were working in marketing, and they would always talk about KPIs, right? They would tell me, I have a meeting where we're going to discuss the KPIs. And I'd ask them questions like, hey, what are the KPIs? What is it? Why do you use it? What do you do with whatever it is that you learn from those indicators? And each friend would tell me a different thing about those indicators, and they were never the same. So I thought, wait, if you're all grading something, shouldn't that all be based on the same thing? Well, it really wasn't. And this is how I understood it. When you have different goals, you have different attributes that you consider that is sort of attributing to that win. So I'll simplify it. KPIs they're like a scorecard for your goals. And just like how in a game, you have different scores for different aspects, right? And KPIs are not just for businesses. It can be for fitness. It can be for personal habits. Like I have this one app called Habitify, which I paid for a lifetime. And I absolutely love it. It's like a fun game sort of thing app that I really love that has helped me keep up with a lot of my habits. And I get to choose specific indicators to track my performance. Like, hey, let's say that I wake up at 4 a.m. for 4 days a week because I'm crazy. And I've achieved all 4 days. So key performance indicator for me is I checked that particular category on my Habitify app, and it's giving me sort of like a streak, right? If you use Duolingo or if you use Snapchat, you know that there's something called as a streak. And it's kind of like a dopamine hit for you personally. And I love that. So similarly, you have specific indicators that will help you track your performance when it comes to business or fitness. And in marketing, KPIs are nothing but just your way of tracking to see if you're performing well. They serve as sort of a metric that helps you evaluate the performance of various aspects of your marketing efforts. It could be to assess the success of a campaign or analyze customer behavior or even measure brand engagement. KPIs give you an insight as to what's working and what needs improvement. So, Anusha, how exactly are we supposed to choose a KPI? It depends on the specific goals and objectives of your marketing initiatives. For example, right, take sales. They might track total sales volume, sales cycle length, sales cost to volume ratio. Finance could have a completely different KPI, which could include revenue, free cash flow, gross profit margin. And in marketing, most metrics are like Website traffic, cost per lead, conversion rate, social media engagement. These are very commonly used KPIs in marketing. This season is about understanding analytics and how that goes along with marketing. As someone that is an analyst, I think analytics gives you sort of the tools that you can use. Let's say that it's like having all the ingredients, but you need to cook the meal, right? So analytics is what helps you cook the meal. You have all the data that you need to measure these KPIs. Analytics is going to help you break down everything. Google Analytics does that. Your Instagram can do that. Your email marketing campaign tool can do that. Your LinkedIn can do that. So many other things that will give you insights into consumer behavior, campaign performance, and sort of overall ROI. Take an easy example. Go to your LinkedIn. You have analytics. They'll tell you how many people have viewed your profile. It will tell you how many post impressions you have. It will tell you what titles that these people have when they look at your LinkedIn profile. I think LinkedIn Premium gives you that. I'm not really sure the difference between premium and not having premium. So when you understand all of these, what can you do with this data? When you have all this data, you can sort of paint a picture, right? So and so people are looking at my profile. This is what they interact with, or this is what I think they might be seeing. This is where they live, and this is what they do. Why are they interested in me? And what value can I provide using this data? For example, let's take a company called ABC, because I always name the company ABC. And let's say that they specialize in sustainable fashion. The goal of ABC is to increase online sales and brand visibility. And to achieve this, they launch a digital marketing campaign focusing on social media advertising and influencer partnerships. Okay, let's think about what KPIs they might track. They might track website traffic. They can look at how many people are actually visiting their online store. Second, they can look at the conversion rate. Hey, these people came to my website. Did they actually make a purchase? The third thing could be social media engagement. Like, hey, I posted this amazing post on Instagram. How many people liked it, shared it, commented on it? And the fourth thing could be return on ad spend. Hey, I spend so much money into advertising. How much should I actually make out of spending so much on that ad? So it basically calculates the revenue generated from their advertising efforts compared to the cost. So now let's say that they plan to run this for a month. A month goes by, they look at the data again, and the first thing was website traffic, right? So let's say that it increased by 40% compared to the previous month. And conversion rate, let's say that it improved by 50%. So wow, so our targeting and messaging really worked. And social media engagement, say that it saw a significant increase in likes and shares, and tells the company that they have great brand awareness now. And the fourth thing was return on ad spend. Return on ad spend, let's say that it's 5:1, indicating that, hey, we have a strong return on investment for the amount of money that the company has spent on advertising. Such wishful thinking for marketers, but these are great, right? So with these KPIs, what can ABC understand from this campaign? They can think, hey, we were so successful in driving both traffic and conversions. And now what they can do is they can think about this framework, something that I've always talked about. What can you start doing? What can you stop doing? And what should you continue doing? These are the three things that they can think about with the KPIs that they have in place, and continue to monitor and refine their KPIs to make sure that they keep growing. So the framework that you need to keep in mind is have a certain metric that can help you assess what's working and what's not working. And then from whatever data that you get, try and tell a story with it. So I think Google Analytics or Tableau or Excel or graphs, they can help you really tell a story. And then with that story, you can be like, hey, this is what's working, this is what's not working. And I think this is what we need to change with whatever it is that we're doing. Before we wrap up this episode, just remember that KPIs are not just numbers. They are about, hey, this is what's happening in the company, and we need to understand these things are working, these things are not working. And we just really need to pay attention to this particular thing that we're doing terribly wrong. It seems very easy to say it on a podcast in under 15 minutes. If you are someone that gets to interact with KPIs, it's such an interesting place to be in, especially as an analyst. I get to see a lot of these KPIs in action, and it tells you a lot about the business. Oh, so this is how you guys tell me that you're successful. That's amazing. I didn't know that before. And I think it's very interesting for beginners to see that. KPIs are really, really interesting, and they're kind of like a compass guiding you in your marketing efforts and to be very successful in marketing. That's all for today. Hope you found it useful. Please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or email me at tmw@anushakannan.com. Follow me on LinkedIn to never miss my journey, and I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.